Welcome back to our Algebra 2 sequence and series, lesson number 4, arithmetic series homework review, part 4. Please make sure you catch parts 1, 2, and 3, and if you find this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. Hit that notification bell to be notified when new videos are added. Number 8. Distance an object falls per second while under the influence of gravity forms an arithmetic sequence with it falling 16 feet in the first second, 48 feet in the second, 80 feet in the third, etc. Meaning, so in this case, after 1 second, it falls 16 feet, and then after the next second, it falls 48 feet, and after the next second, it falls 80 feet. So in this case, what total distance object will fall in 10 seconds. And so what comes down to in this case is we must figure out what the total distance this object will fall at from the 9 to 10 second, because it's increasing over time, and then we want to add them all up together. So one thing you want to do is take a look at these numbers. So it falls 16 feet after the first second. So 48 feet in the second, not meaning after 2 seconds, but in the second, and then 80 feet in the third. Well, one of the things we'll take a look, we'll see that 48 minus 16, does that equal to 80 minus 48? Because if it does, this will mean it's falling in an arithmetic manner, meaning that there's a common difference between them. So 48 minus 16 we know should be 32. And 80 minus 48 is also 32. That means our common difference for this arithmetic series, because we're adding them all up, will be 32. Now we want to figure out what the total distance it will fall after, in the 10th second, really, in the 10th second. So we use our formula, a sub n equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. And so the 10th second would mean n is 10, our first second is 16, n is 10 minus 1, and we're changing, basically adding 32 feet to the total distance it falls in that second. So we get, in this case, 16 plus 9 times 32. 9 times 32 is 270 plus 18 is 288. Plus 16, in this case, 293.04, I guess. So in the 10th second is fallen 304 feet. So now we'll use our formula to add up all the total distance. So that being the case, we use S of n is equal to n times a1 plus a sub n, meaning the first and last terms added together, all divided by 2. So our sum would be, after 10 seconds, n is 10, our first distance is 16, our distance in the 10th second, is 304, we divide all by 2. So 304 plus 16 looks like 320. So we're going to get, in this case, 10 times 320 all over 2. And again, I'm going to divide the 2 into 320. I like the 10 because it's adding a 0 at the end. So when we divide 320 by 2, we get 160. And 160 times 10 is equal to 1,600. So the total distance after 10 seconds is 1,600 feet. Okay, and that's our answer here. I'll make this full page so you can see everything here. So we have to determine what type of sequence this is, or really series this is, because it's a series of adding up the sequence in this case. We see it's arithmetic. We show this in seeing that we have a common difference here between, so take the second term minus the first term and set it equal to the third term minus second term. If that qualifies, is arithmetic. And then of course we find our last term, because our formula requires us to have the first term plus the last term multiplied by number of terms, all divided by 2. Number 9. A large grandfather clock strikes its bell once at 1 o'clock, twice at 2 o'clock, 3 times at 3 o'clock, etc. What is the total number of times the bell will be struck in a day? Use an arithmetic series to help solve the problem and show how you arrived at the answer. Well, one of the things to keep in mind is that we're assuming that it is adding up as we go along. And at 1 o'clock, we were talking about 1 o'clock, there are 24 hours in a day. All right, so the idea of once at 1, we would talk 1 a.m. and twice at 2 a.m. and 3 times at 3 a.m. But when you get to 1 p.m., I do not think we're saying back to 1. Instead, we're using almost like a military time. 1 p.m. is the 13th hour of the day. 2 p.m. is the 14th hour day. So in this case, 1 p.m. is the 13th hour. 13th hour. And 2 p.m. is the 14th hour, because noon would be the 12th hour. If we continue with this plan, then 12 a.m. at the end of the day is the 24th hour, because that's how many hours there are in a day. Hour. Right? Why did I make it sound like a B? Well, sorry about that. My handwriting is terrible. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And so we figure out in this case, and this is probably the difficult way to look at those, if we're taking a look at from this point of view, that if we do military time, that we would have a total of 24 hours at the end. Okay? And so that being said, what we can do is we would see it as A1 is 1, A24 equals 24, and N equals 24. So the sum, S of 24, would equal to 24 times 1 plus 24 all divided by 2, which is equal to 12 times 25 over 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times, and 6 times 25, S of 24, is equal to 150 times. Sorry, I should move this over a little bit here so I can fit in the S. Sorry about that. Okay, now that would be if we're doing military time. Okay, this is basically military time. What if my clock was set for, just regular once at 1, twice at 2, 3 times 3, and then at 1 p.m. it's reset for 1 again? Well, if it's that way, then we'll do the following. So we'll do a secondary type of situation, in where we do once, okay, 1 a.m. it's equal to, we have 1 ring, all right? And then 12 p.m. we get 12 rings. But then at 1 p.m. we get 1 ring. And then at 12 a.m. we get 12 rings. And so what will happen is we will get instead, basically a number of times the clock will ring from 1 to 12, the one section, and we'll just double that for the full day. So this is the alternative way if your clock is set up this way. And so it doesn't really say which one, so I'm doing both of them just for the situation. So we will have in this case, S of 12 is equal to 12 times A1 is 1 a.m., so 1. At 12 p.m., we have 12 all over 2. And so we're going to get, in this case, 12 times 13 over 2. And this divides into here. We're going to get 6. 6 times 13 is equal to 78. But that's for the first half day. we'll have 7 plus 78 for the second half because it follows the same pattern. And so if we add the total number of times the clock rings, it will be, in this case, 156 times. And this is, in this case, if we're just using the dial, in this case, 1 to 12, right? Using only 1 to 12. Right, and so this will be our answer for this. Okay, so I basically have two different answers. It depends upon how we do this. Now, if you're doing a military time where 1 p.m. is 13th hour, 2 p.m. is 14th hour, then you have 150 times. Okay, seems a little bit strange out that way. So, but okay. Yeah, I think so. So 13 times 12, 6, 78, 70 times 2, 156. So it's really interesting in this case that the number of times that we would have the bell ring, from 1 to 12, 1 to 12, would be more times than it would be for the military time. I almost feel like I know what happened. I see what the error is. Shucks, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about this. I made an error up here. Some of you guys probably know what it is. Wait a minute, Mr. Gong, you made an error. This should be 24 divided by 2. And that means I'm not multiplying the 25 by 6, but 25 by 12. So 25 by 12, well, that means in this case, that would be 300 times. Oh my goodness. Yep, I make errors too. Sorry about that. And it's a very, a very subconscious error where in this case, we see that, okay, what happened was that I in my mind, I divided by 12 by 2 and then did it again. So it didn't make any sense to me. Like, this is why you have to kind of look at your answers again. Why would the military time be less than the resetting time and all? So it wouldn't make sense to go back and check our answer. So yeah, this is I'm not changing this in the video. This is gonna be live, and it shows in this case that I'm not perfect, but also definitely check your answers to make sure your work makes sense. Okay. And with this is the end of our video of our home review, and at the end of lesson number 4's home review. Thanks so much for watching, and look forward to seeing you guys. If this was helpful, except for this error I made, actually please give a like, and of course leave any comments in the section below, and of course turn notifications if you have not done so already, if you are subscribed. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. See you in the next video.